You think this is the real Quaid? It is.
Hello, and welcome back to more Films Under Constant Critique, where we take a look at films, some good, some bad, and some downright awful. I'm Bongo Baikov, joined by our host Maverick, Dren, Zaria. This week we take a look at the 1990 film Total Recall.
Or are we actually secret agents on Mars?
You know, this happened to a guy that I knew once.
Oh. Was his name Douglas Quaid?
Well, no, his name was Hauser originally, actually.
Right, yeah. Of course. And the timing on this is kind of funny, actually, because I've been reading The Martian recently, so...
Oh, yeah?
Apparently somebody wants me to go to Mars.
I mean, hey, Mars is always a great option. Great for tourism.
Total Recall was released on June 1st, 1990. It cost about $64 million and made $261.4 million.
That's a pretty good return.
I mean, that makes it the fifth highest grossing film of 1990. So it made the top 5. And it was outgrossed by Dances with Wolves, Pretty Woman, Home Alone, and Ghost. Very strange lineup there.
Yeah. 1990 must have been a weird year for movies.
Yeah. This was directed by Paul Verhoeven, who we've had on the podcast before because he, of course, did RoboCop.
I fucking love that
guy!
I think this was the movie he did right after RoboCop 2, right?
I think it was, yeah. He did this instead of doing RoboCop 2, which was probably a smart decision on his part. Now, the cast. We, of course, have Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Do we really need to introduce him? I mean, I think everybody remembers the governor of California.
California. And we've had him a lot, and we've had a strange selection of his movies, I realize.
We have.
Because he was in Batman and Robin as Mr. Freeze. He's Conan the
True Lies.
Yeah, True Lies. He's Conan the Barbarian in the Conan movies. And now we've done Total Recall. Sharon Stone, who also appeared in the Paul Verhoeven movie Basic Instinct, which came out right after this.
I didn't know he did Basic Instinct.
Yeah, he has a very strange filmography if you look at it. Ronnie Cox, which we've had him a few times before, because he's Dick Jones from RoboCop.
Yep.
Another Paul Verhoeven movie where he's the villain. And he was also in Deep Blue Sea, where he sat in a chair and had no lines.
Oh, really?
So you probably don't even remember that.
No, I do not.
It's like towards the beginning. It's when Saffron Burrows is like talking to Sam Jackson.
Oh, okay.
In like just a meeting room, and like Ronnie Cox is just sitting there in the background, not saying anything.
Yeah, he was apparently uncredited.
Robert Picardo, who we've had on the podcast a few times in Legend and Quantum Quest, a Cassini Space Odyssey.
Yay, my favorite movie. Who was he in Quantum Quest?
He was the guy that was mining quarks.
Oh, okay.
Was like riding on like a flying hippo-looking alien.
Oh, I almost remember him.
Almost, yeah. Oh, Michael Ironside is in this.
Yes.
I haven't had him yet. He's in Scanners.
That's kind of surprising that it's taken us this long to find him.
He played Jester in Top Gun. He's in Highlander 2, The Quickening, as the main villain in that movie.
Oh boy. He's also in quite a few video games.
I forgot he was in Free Willy. That's hilarious. He's in McBain, not the Simpsons one, but
the actual McBain
the one
movie.
starring Christopher Walken. And this is not his last time working with Paul Verhoeven, because he's also in Starship Troopers.
Oh.
Oh, Dean Norris is in this. You might know him as Hank Schrader from Breaking Bad.
Oh. That's right. Oh, I didn't even realize. Hold on. Yeah.
And, yeah, because his face is, like, kind of...
Yeah.
looks all weird in this. And he's also in Starship Troopers. The music was done by Jerry Goldsmith.
Who we have had before.
Yes, because he did the music for Alien, the first 3 Rambo movies, and Supergirl.
Yay. Sounds like he's trying to come after John Williams' record.
Yeah, he might beat him at some point. One of the writers was Dan O'Bannon, who helped write Alien.
Okay.
Oh, Vic Armstrong did the stunts for this. I noticed that during the end credits.
Huh.
This is our second movie based on a Philip K. Dick story, the other being Blade Runner.
Blade Runner. And like Blade Runner, there was a pretty significant name change.
Yeah,
the
Total
original
Recall
story.
was based on a short story called We Will Remember It For You Wholesale.
Which is a bit of a mouthful.
Is it more or less of a mouthful than Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?
I think Philip K. Dick was allergic to short titles. They had to be long and complicated.
Well, they were also short stories too, so
That's true.
and they were written in the 50s and 60s, so a lot of those. And it's been a while since I read the short story, but the premise is about the same.
Okay.
Obviously, there were a few changes. One change is they make it clear in the story that his life on Mars did actually happen. Douglas Quaid is named Douglas Quayle. I think Douglas Quaid was the better name between the two. Or it's more fitting for Arnold, I guess, than Douglas Quayle. Maybe they didn't want to confuse him with Dan Quayle. And the story, yeah, it's about the same premise, except the movie added a lot of Arnold embellishments, obviously.
Yeah, no, I can't really imagine Dennis Quayle in the short story screaming as his eyes bulge out of his head.
Yeah, I know. There was also a remake of this movie with Colin Farrell that was really bad, and it didn't even...
I have never seen it.
It's not worth it. And it didn't even take a place on Mars, for fuck's sake.
That's kind of the whole point of the movie. How do you do it without it taking place on Mars?
It just takes place in the future, I guess. I don't know. Bryan Cranston plays the bad guy. I don't remember much of it. It was just really generic and boring. So anyway,
it's got an interesting cast, though. I will say that.
Yeah, the director of it was the guy that did the Underworld movies and Die Hard 4. So.
Oh.
Which I've seen quite a few of the Underworld movies. They're not good, but for some reason I watched a bunch of them just because they're kind of those things you could just have them on in the background and then just occasionally look up and like laugh at what's going on. Kind of like the Resident Evil movie. Well, some of the Resident Evil movies, like Afterlife, kind of like Afterlife, where it's just like this isn't good, but I can at least laugh at some of it.
Yeah.
There was also a TV show. Were you aware of this?
I was not. When did it come out?
1999, and I didn't know about it until I saw that Leonard Maltin mentioned it in his review.
Oh yeah?
So I was like, wait a minute, what is this? So I looked it up. It's called Total Recall 2070. It aired for one season in 1999 that lasted 22 episodes.
Okay.
Apparently the last episode aired the day I was born, so I guess I indirectly killed the show by being born.
No, the show was reincarnated into you.
No, the Red Hot Chili Peppers album was reincarnated into
Oh,
apparently.
yeah, that's more accurate.
Californication actually came out the day I was born. From what I've read, the show sounds like it was a loose adaptation of the short story, and apparently it shares more similarities with Blade Runner than Total Recall, which is...
Yeah, I just opened the page for it, and I'm seeing stuff about, like, gangs of androids, and it's making me think of Blade Runner.
It felt more like Blade Runner than Total Recall. I didn't recognize the cast. I watched one episode, and it was not good.
Ooh. Was it at least funny, or was it just, like, really bad?
It was just bad. It was like, the acting wasn't very good. I wasn't impressed with the script. I did laugh at the fact that the very first scene was a sex scene with full nudity.
Oh, of course.
It was just so jarring. I'm not used to shows from that time period just having nudity in them, you know. That's more of a thing with like modern shows, but apparently this show. Yeah. But yeah, after watching that episode, I was like, I could see why I've never heard of this. But getting back to the movie, the tagline was, "Get ready for the ride of your life."
That's okay.
I don't know if there's any other... Maybe there's some other tagline.
It looks like there's a couple that I see listed. They stole his mind, now he wants it back.
Yeah.
That sounds like the one Bruce Campbell movie.
Which one?
It's like the one where it's...
Screaming Brain?
Yeah, the man with the screaming brain, yeah.
Maybe we should do that on the podcast. I haven't seen it.
Do a double feature of that with Bubba Hotep.
Bubba Hotep. Oh, jeez, that'd also be a good podcast. I saw that on TV one time. Actually, they were just showing that on TV. I walked in. I asked my dad what he was watching. He's just describing this insane movie about Elvis and JFK fighting like mummies or something. I'm like, what is this?
It's so insane.
So I saw half of it, and I'm like, this is a weird movie. How would you know if someone stole your mind?
Okay, that one's better.
How would you know after memory implantation if your mind is yours?
Yeah, that one's too wordy.
That's like the thesaurus version of that.
Copy it. Just make sure it doesn't look like you copied.
What would you do if someone stole your mind? Anyway. Okay. Initial thoughts. Do you want to go first on this one, or?
Yeah. So I've seen this, I think, 2 or 3 times before this last time, and honestly, my opinion, it hasn't really changed much. Except I think every time I watch it, I actually enjoy the movie just a little bit more. It's very, very tightly made. All the sets and stuff are fantastic. It has a really interesting premise. And possibly, I wouldn't say most importantly, but most obviously, it is very much an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. It, I kind of rank it as one of the, if not the most Arnold Schwarzenegger movie that there is. Uh, the action scenes are insane. He has all these just amazing one-liners. He's pulling all these weird faces and just like screaming for half the film. But apart
Would it
from Arnold, it's
surprise
still a
you?
really yeah.
Would it surprise you if I told you? Okay, so I watched like a YouTube compilation that had like every Arnold Schwarzenegger scream. Would it surprise you if this
Oh,
is the
yeah.
one where he screams the most times?
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense, actually.
It's apparently the movie where Arnold yells the most times, which I thought was funny.
And so, even apart from Arnold, though, it is a very strong movie. The sets are all great. The locations are fantastic. The other characters are actually pretty good for the most part. There's a couple characters here and there that like are they feel almost like fillery, like there wasn't a whole lot of thought put into them. But for the most part, they're pretty good. Um, I I will say it's not all totally like it's not a perfect movie. It feels a bit like you're watching two different movies at the same time at some points. Um, and that's been one of my big takeaways from previous times. Is I think about the movie and I remember all this cool like sci-fi, like the inside of this alien power plant and like this huge conspiracy that's undermining all of it. And then I remember it's the same movie where Arnold screams for like 5 minutes straight. And there's a three-breasted woman at a strip club, and just absolute pure insanity and chaos. So the movie feels a bit schizophrenic at moments, but it is still just fantastic and really fun.
Yeah. So I think this is the fourth time I
Okay.
watched this, and I've mentioned before that this is probably my favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. The only reason I say probably is because I haven't seen Predator in a while.
That's fair.
For whatever reason, this is the one I've gone back to the most times, just because it is so insane and just ridiculous. Like, I love it for very similar reasons to why I love RoboCop, which has the same director. It has a lot of the same stylistic, like,
yeah, a lot of the same energy to it.
it has this like gleeful absurdity and over the top violence, but at the same time you can tell they put a lot of thought into the story, which is nice. Yeah. Although I don't think this has quite the same clever like social commentary that RoboCop did, or like as many of the human aspects of it, but it makes up for that with the fact it has Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's like a lot of my favorite Arnold lines come from this. I think what might be my favorite one-liner of his is in I think "Consider That a Divorce" might be my favorite Arnold one-liner. I love that one so much.
There's so many good ones.
But again, it's basically they had this really intriguing sci-fi premise, and then they also threw Arnold Schwarzenegger into it, and I love that mixture. It's just so crazy and ridiculous, but also like, this is actually a pretty interesting concept. Very thought-provoking. Again, kind of like RoboCop. On its surface, it kind of just looks like an over-the-top action movie, but then you watch it and you're like, okay, somebody actually was trying really hard here.
Yeah, somebody put a lot of thought into this.
And really, I feel like most of this podcast is just going to be me going, oh, I love this scene, I love this scene.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So, yeah. And if you haven't, you should listen to the commentary for this, or parts of it at least. I've listened to clips of it, because it's Arnold and Paul Verhoeven talking over the movie. So already you have two guys with just
Yeah.
accents where at times you can barely tell what they're saying. But also, most of it is like Arnold describing what's happening in the movie, but like it actually happened to him, like not to his character in the movie.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Like, it's almost like he wants people to know exactly what's happening in the movie as if they haven't seen it, but also in a way where it feels like a kid playing with his favorite toys or something. It's just great. And he's like that. Apparently he's like that in, like, every DVD commentary. It's hilarious. I've heard excerpts of the Terminator 3 commentary, and it's a laugh riot. Speaking of laugh riots, Leonard Maltin.
If he gave this anything less than like a 3, I'm gonna be upset.
So what are you gonna guess?
I'm gonna guess 2.5.
He did give it a 3.
Ooh, okay.
Out of 4. 3 out of 4.
Yeah.
He called it a riveting yarn. Offers endless twists and intriguing ideas, and the kind of over-the-top violence for which Verhoeven is known. Dazzling Oscar-winning special effects throughout. Oh, that's another thing we should bring up. This won the Oscar for Best Special Effects.
That makes a lot of sense.
And there are some very interesting effects in this, for sure. Especially, well, we'll get to that. And for comparison, Mr. Maltin gave the remake 2 out of 4 stars. So
Okay.
I was gonna laugh if he gave it 4 out of 4.
No, if he would have liked the remake better, I think he would have been Inhuman.
He liked the Thing prequel more than John Carpenter's The Thing, so you can get mad at him.
That feels wrong.
You can get mad at him for that. So the plot for this one, and actually I have another horrible Netflix summary for this one.
Oh boy, I'm excited. I love these awful Netflix summaries.
He's shaking up his daily routine with some shootouts and a Martian war. If only he could figure out who he is. ... That's
awful. It's like some of those things happen, but that's like completely wrong.
It is accurate.
Why
though.
Netflix? It's kind of accurate, but it makes it feel more like it's about the war itself.
Yeah. It's pretty funny, yeah. Okay, so getting into the actual thing, the opening theme sounds like Conan the Barbarian.
Kind of, yeah. And I was actually thinking at the end, like the music playing towards the, like just before the credits sounds like the end of A New Hope Star Wars music.
Yeah, there were parts where it kind of sounded like Star Wars. And yeah, it's Jerry Goldsmith, not John Williams.
Yeah.
And also, I love the look of the opening credits, where it's like red and glowing.
Oh yeah.
You know, and the way it like slides down, you know, like you just watch the opening credits and you are pumped for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, you are ready for it.
Yeah. Yeah, this movie makes me feel bad for Carol Co. That poor company didn't last very long, but hey, at least they gave us movies like Total Recall. Our first scene is an interesting one, because that's where Arnold is having this nightmare. He's having this nightmare.
Where he's on Mars with the brunette woman. They're in like these kind of like spacesuits. He trips, falls, breaks open the visor, and just starts screaming as his eyes pop out of his head.
Yeah, and like it looks so cartoonish too. Like again, it's kind of the thing with like Paul Verhoeven where you're like going, was this supposed to be funny or it's like... And then the fact Arnold is in it, that complicates things even more.
Yeah. Because it could have been supposed to be very serious, but just based on the fact that it's Arnold playing the character, it automatically is just funny.
His eyes popping out, yeah.
Yeah. And it always reminds me of the Big Trouble in Little China when the guy's like inflating.
Oh, yeah, a bit, yeah. Or if we ever do Outland, that kind of happens in Outland as well. Like I remember watching Outland and just being like, parts of this remind me of Total Recall. I do like the look of Mars in this movie. Like, they made it look very, very red in this.
It is so red. And actually, I guess this is jumping ahead a bit, but when we see Cohagen's office, there's just the whole room is glowing red from the just from Mars being outside the window.
It's almost like they like tinted the frame, kind of like in the Angry Red Planet or something.
Yeah.
If anybody knows what the hell that movie is. They don't have that rat, bat, spider creature from that movie in this, although that would not be out of place in a movie like this. And apparently Arnold is married to Sharon Stone in this movie.
Makes sense.
I mean, why? I don't know. she seems kind of awful, actually. She's not very nice to him throughout this movie.
Well, to be fair, we don't see them together much until his cover is blown.
Yeah, true.
Which kind of puts a damper on their relationship.
And I like that they chose Mars as the setting.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like just all this like futuristic stuff on Mars. Apparently there's terrorists on Mars.
Yeah, there's terrorists that just get into open warfare. There's a bunch of mutants that live there because they all got irradiated because it's Mars.
Yeah, it's just all these just crazy concepts going on in one movie. It's just one of those movies that I just can't help but love it, you know, just because just insane some of this stuff is.
There is so much that's going on. There are these mutants that are there that are just irradiated because of like poor sealing, fighting a war against a corporation that's trying to essentially ration out oxygen and air among the colony. All the while they're trying to cover up the existence of an alien power plant that was built half a million years ago on the planet.
Again, you can tell that like this is the same guy that made RoboCop, you know, like even down to just the fact that you have Ronnie Cox playing the villain again, and he's like just part of this like just horrible corporation. Like they're like literally like just like you have to pay to use the air on Mars. Like, how evil can you get? You know?
And speaking of RoboCop, there's a lot in this that feels like RoboCop.
Yeah,
like
the
way
death scenes especially. Like,
yeah, and just the visuals overall are very RoboCop.
The office that Cohagen has like just looks like Dick Jones' office from RoboCop. Yeah. And I love RoboCop, so of course I love this movie as well.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. On top of that, the set design, like every location in this movie is just absolutely beautiful. There's just so much detail just put like everywhere in the movie.
Yeah, like, you know, that's one thing I love about sci-fi movies is I like futuristic cities, weird looking plants. This has both of them, so you know.
Yeah.
And also weird aliens as well. There's like a lot of weird alien designs in this. You know, probably the most memorable one would be Quado.
Yes. It reminded me a bit of the Basket Case movie. Just the dude growing out of another dude.
He does look kind of like Belial, yeah. But, yeah, there's like a lot of deformed aliens in this. Like, you know, there's the stripper with 3 tits, which is another memorable image from this movie. If only they had 3 hands. Or you got Dean Norris with his face. Like, I don't know how to even describe that one.
It's like he's kind of like his face is melted over one of his eyes.
Yeah, something. Maybe he got into the toxic waste from RoboCop.
And we don't see it much, but Benny, the taxi driver, who turns out to be a mutant, his arm, like, that design looked really cool.
It looks almost like, it looks kind of like
almost like a praying mantis hand. Like a claw, almost.
Or I was thinking of, like, E.T. maybe, but I don't know. It's hard to...
Oh,
it's a little hard to describe.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Quado, the guy, he's like... And one thing I like about Quado is, like, he's, like, the leader of the revolution, but, like, nobody knows what he looks like. So you just hear the name, like, throughout a lot of the movie, and then when you finally see him, he's, like, this little deformed dude attached to the chest of another dude.
He's basically, like, just a conjoined twin to some other guy.
You said he looked like the guy from, like, Belial from Basket Case. I thought he looked sort of like Chucky from the Child's Play.
He kind of does look like Chucky.
Even his expression, he just, you know... That must be a pain having to hide inside a dude's jacket all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently the guy that plays Quado was in Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he played the coach in that movie. And he kind of reminded me of an alien from, like, Men in Black a bit.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, wasn't there the guy that has, like, a second head in one of them?
That's in a lot of them, actually.
It's been so long since I've seen any of those movies.
But yeah, he's just this little... He's not even in the movie that long, but he's just this weird... Again, he's just this weird creature.
And have we even mentioned yet that he's psychic?
He's like, yeah, he's like psychic. He like asks Arnold to open his mind, and that's how they find out about the air reactor and the button that they there's like this button they have to press with like a Martian handprint on it.
Yeah.
Which that's a real... There's just a lot of really cool imagery in this that's very memorable. Because on one hand, you got all this cool sci-fi stuff, and then on the other hand, it's also an Arnold Schwarzenegger action movie. So, you know. And like you said, this really just does feel like the most Arnold movie of all time.
It really is. He has so many good one-liners in this movie.
Yeah, like...
You already mentioned the one that you like when he shoots his wife and says, "Consider that a divorce."
Consider
like,
that a divorce.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
You wouldn't hurt me, would you, sweetheart? Sweetheart, be reasonable. After all, we're married.
Consider that a divorce.
When he's fighting Benny the taxi driver who's in like a massive excavator, he pulls out a massive drill. He yells out, "Screw you!" and just jams it in and kills him.
That's a pretty good one.
I like the "see you at the party, Richter."
Yeah, where he like used the elevator to like cut Michael Ironside's arms off. Yeah, that's a good one.
When there's one moment where he has like all these he has like a hologram of himself walking around to trick people,
Oh,
It ends up being the real him, but he faces the wrong direction. You think this is the real Quaid?
It
It
is.
is, and shoots them.
I love
It's
that
fantastic.
That one's great. Yeah, there's a lot of good ones in this, and also just like there's some lines where on their own they're not like amazing, but just the way Arnold says them, it's just funny.
Yeah.
Like
You broke my cover!
or when he has this like friend from the construction site, and some other guys, they like try to kill him. He's like saying,
What the fuck did I do wrong?
He's got the one when he after he rips out the Johnny Cab.
yeah, the Johnny Cab. The Johnny Cab.
Yeah, the Johnny Cab's like, the fare is 18 credits, please. Sue me, dickhead. And then the cab tries to run him over after.
Oh my god, yeah, it like self-destructs. I like when he gets in the Johnny Cab, it's like asking him for a destination, and he yells shit, and it says, I'm not familiar with that destination.
I'm not familiar with that location.
Oh, that's so fun. Again, it's like scenes like that where I'm like, this is such a crazy movie, and I love it. Like,
Oh.
You are not you. You are me. No shit.
No shit.
Because he's like, he like finds a recording of himself in the briefcase, or not himself. It's Hauser. Apparently, that's his real name. Is Hauser. It basically explains how to get the tracking device. Yeah, the scene where
I love that
the
tracking device so much.
Because he gives him this weird, like...
It's like a hook that he has to shove kind of like up his nose to get the tracking device.
He like pulls it out, and the faces... He makes so many, like, this might have like the best Arnold faces.
I mean, it does, just because of whenever he's outside on Mars and he's getting depressurized.
I remember at one point, I think on my like phone, I had the lock screen. It was Arnold hooked up to that device, like screaming. You probably know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah. He has so many good faces.
I know, yeah. Oh god, the part where he disguises himself as like a woman in a...
Yeah, so he's
I
trying
don't
to, like,
even know how to
get
describe
through
that
customs.
one.
He dresses up as like some old, like 50, 60-year-old woman, and the custom guy's just asking him just questions, and so he's getting asked these questions by the custom agent, and he starts to malfunction. So you just see this lady freaking out, screaming 2 weeks, and then she just pulls off her head, and it's Arnold underneath. It is so funny.
The effect of the mask coming off is kind of cool too, because it has like these. Like,
it is really cool.
How
it
do
like
I even
opens
describe
up.
it? It has like these levels or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's hard to describe.
because it like opens up kind of in the middle to show that it's Arnold on the inside. And I actually I think that scene was the first thing I ever saw from this movie. And so I had no context for what was happening.
It's such a crazy scene too, because they like throws the mask. It says, "Get ready for a surprise," and it explodes.
It explodes.
The action scenes in this are so weird. Like that one just feels like it's out of a Warner Brothers cartoon.
It's so comical, just so it's slapstick.
It's so absurd. But again, it's like fitting for...
It's also like a long scene too. It lasts like 5 minutes.
Yeah, this movie definitely does not bore you, that's for sure.
No, it keeps you engaged the whole way through just because of how insane it is.
One thing that's kind of funny is apparently ESPN still exists in the future.
Oh yeah. So does Hilton.
And I just like the futuristic like setting that this has.
Yeah.
Just all the crazy like set design, like the subway. I like the look of the subway in that.
Yeah, subway looks cool. The hotel looks pretty good too. Like I wrote down in my notes somewhere that I wouldn't mind staying in a hotel that looked like that.
I like that they like. Oh, was it like a where they have to like check people in and stuff? Like, was it like a
Yeah, kind of like a customs terminal.
customs?
Almost.
Yeah, thank you. And they have those like walk-through X-rays.
Yes! Oh, that was actually really cool.
You like walk through it, it like shows your whole skeleton. I love that. And I love that part where Arnold like goes in and he has like a gun. So it just shows like a animated skeleton with a gun, and then the security guards run in, so it shows a bunch of other skeletons with guns. And then when he like breaks through the screen, oh, it's great. I love it. And there's like TVs everywhere in this future. Like the subway train has like dozens of them. It's ridiculous.
And like everyone has like these big screens on their like walls and everywhere. Basically using it kind of like a Skype almost, where it's like a bunch of video calls that they're doing.
Yeah. It kind of predicted some things. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
And the machine they hook him up to, I thought that looked cool.
Yeah.
And also just the concept, too, because, like...
So I don't know if we've really discussed the main concept of this yet.
Yeah, it's just been all over the place, but, like... So Arnold... This is one of the few movies where Arnold has a job that he might actually have in real life, because he's a construction worker.
Yeah.
Or so we think. He's just using this huge drill to, like, drill rocks. It's like, okay. Oh, the actor that playing his friend was also in Die Hard 2.
Oh, really?
He played that cop that gives McClane a hard time at the airport.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the same guy. But basically, Arnold, like, he's kind of... His home life, he's just kind of bored. I guess all he's able to do all day is work construction and then go home and bang Sharon Stone, which...
What a terrible life.
Yeah, what a terrible life for a heterosexual man. So he goes to this place called Recall, where they implant memories.
And so he wants to get a memory planted of a Mars secret agent mission.
Basically what they do is they like give people like a 2-week vacation, but without actually giving them a vacation.
Yeah, they just give them the memories of the vacation.
It's a very Philip K. Dick concept, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, he likes the one he picks. He wants to be a secret agent on Mars, which I'm like, I mean, just that alone, like a secret agent on Mars. That's like,
yeah,
that's already a great concept on its own, and then you add all this weird shit to it. Oh, I do like they have an option for sexual orientations in the machine, so.
Yeah, that is very progressive.
Very inclusive for the time.
Yeah.
They say no matter where you go, there you are in this movie. The Buckaroo Banzai reference, possibly. But yeah, basically what happens is they like hook him up to the machine, and he falls asleep, and
then he has an absolute freak out.
Yeah, he starts shouting, "You blew my cover!" You know, he like
blew my cover.
And that's an interesting thing about this movie is you don't know if they actually programmed the stuff into him or not, or if he's just hallucinating.
It is very ambiguous as to whether or not everything we're seeing is real, or if this is the implanted memory.
Yeah, because the doctors, they say, "Oh, we haven't put that in yet." But then how is he a secret agent? So is he actually a secret agent, or is he? Is he Hauser or is he Douglas Quaid? And even the end of the movie, they don't really give you a definitive answer to it.
Yeah. And then there's even a moment, I think about halfway, maybe a little over in the film, where someone who says that they're a doctor comes into his hotel room and tries to explain that this is all fake.
That's a good scene. Let me find that.
That is
in my note.
Fantastic.
Where is... Yeah, they bring in this guy... He tries convincing him that he's in a simulation. He's imagining things from that chair, from the machine that he's hooked up to.
Yeah.
Sharon Stone shows up to try to, bring him out of it. And the guy tries to give him a red pill, so wait a minute, it's kind of...
Oh no, it's The Matrix.
But this movie came out before The Matrix.
Yeah.
And he doesn't believe the guy, he holds a gun up to his head and notices that he's sweating.
What was really good is that the doctor was actually, super convincing until he had that bead of sweat that kind of gave it away to Arnold.
The acting in that scene is really good, from that dude especially.
Yeah.
And he just, kills him because he doesn't believe him, Some bad guys show up and hold him down. Another thing that happens in this movie a lot is that Sharon Stone kicks Arnold in the balls a lot.
It happens 3 or 4 times. It's a bit nuts.
It's no pun intended.
Pun fully intended.
Yeah. You're just why are they married if this shit anyway? Although I guess they do technically get a divorce in this movie. So. Consider that a divorce.
Consider that a divorce.
I also like how after he kills Sharon Stone, Melina says, "That was your wife? What a bitch." Oh my goodness. We're all over the place with this one.
I will say, since we're on the subject of Arnold shooting his wife, that moment led to the great AVGN moment in the review of the Total Recall game, where it comes to the realization that it's the only Nintendo game where you shoot your wife.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, the NES game was not very good at this, from what I can tell. The Johnny Cab. He asks, "How did I get in this taxi?" And the Johnny Cab says, "The door opened, you got in."
And you got in.
Rolls his eyes. There's just a lot of humor in this, and I like that, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a very funny movie.
Even the doctors that implant his memories, I thought they were funny, even though they're not in the movie for that long.
Someone has erased his memory.
Wait, excuse me. Someone? We're talking about the fucking agency.
Shut up!
But basically what they did was they tried to erase his memories so that he doesn't know who he is. So now he's just all confused. Is he Hauser or is he Douglas Quaid?
And I do like what they do with the concept, because later in the movie you find out that the whole time Douglas Quaid was actually working for Cohagen.
Oh yeah, that was a
good
good
twist.
This
was all... Yeah, and that it was all a ploy to get into the Rebels. But because of the Dennis Quaid memories that they had put into
Dennis Quaid,
Hauser, sorry, Douglas Quaid. I knew I was going to do that at some point.
I guarantee Dennis Quaid's gonna win an Oscar for that Reagan movie next year.
Anyway, the Douglas Quaid character, like his personality and his memories, ended up forcing him to be a good guy in this. And so, even though he has some of the memories of Hauser, he doesn't go back to being evil, which I think is just like a cool thing.
The only thing with that, though, is, like, of course he's not going to go back to being evil because he's played by Arnold.
Yeah, no, there's no chance.
They wouldn't do that, like, in an Arnold Schwarzenegger action movie. And yeah, just whenever he's like, it's just funny watching him, like, watching footage of him, but not him.
Yeah. Because he interacts with it a little bit, which makes it funny.
Yeah, like, you are not you, you are me. No shit.
No shit.
Howdy, stranger. Like, I remember quite a lot of lines just from the recording of Arnold in this. One of the more famous ones,
Get your ass to Moss.
I also like how, I forget the exact line, but it's something like, hey, like, be careful, that's my body too. Or something like that.
Yeah, when he's trying to pull out the tracking device.
Yeah.
I like how he, like, gives the tracking device to some rats, so then when the bad guys show up, they start shooting at rats.
I also like just how gigantic that tracking device is.
Yeah. It's like orange, it's like this little orange ball, but then it opens up and it looks like a bullet or something. Why would you make How did that tracking device even get in there? He just shoved it up his nose?
No idea.
I don't even want to know.
That's the implication, but, like, it doesn't look like it would fit. It's, like, huge.
I know, yeah. And I just like a lot of the set design and stuff, and also, like, there were, like, some shots that kind of remind me of, like, THX 1138 a bit, like, when they're...
Oh, yeah?
When, like, cars are, like, driving through, like, the... Like, some of the roads look kind of like THX a bit. There's, like, this... Like,
I still haven't watched THX.
There's, like, a car chase in that movie that, if you watch that, it looks a lot like some of the stuff in this movie. A lot of holograms in this movie, I just, again, that's something I like about sci-fi movies. It's just all the crazy shit they do with technology in these. Even if it's, like, completely impractical, it's just fun, It's more fun if it is just impractical,
Yeah. Like, for whatever reason, the self-driving cars, they have essentially an android that's just locked in place that acts like a cab driver.
Oh my god, and we have self-driving cars now. Jesus Christ, that's another thing this movie predicted.
We even have self-driving taxis, although apparently they don't work very well.
Yeah, they're like the Johnny Cab in this movie.
I think they're worse. I think people have had problems where, like, the doors don't open or something.
Something, yeah. Yeah, his wife tries to kill him because she's an agent that's working for Richter, Michael Ironside's character. That's another thing, is just Arnold is just confused the whole movie. Like, he doesn't know what
the whole movie. He has no idea what's going on.
If I'm not me, then who the hell am I? Like, this movie kind of felt like a mix of RoboCop and Blade Runner, I guess because it's a Philip K. Dick adaptation by the guy who made RoboCop, so...
Yeah. At one point, I think I wrote down, this movie reminds me of Fifth Element.
Kind of. It does kind of, yeah. It has sort of that same, like, unhinged European-ness to it, because both movies are directed by European dudes. And also just a strange, feverish energy, too. That's another thing.
Yeah, just absolutely psychotic.
when you watch a Paul Verhoeven movie, they always just have this weird energy to them.
It is so fast paced. Not to like a Sam Raimi level, but it's still pretty quick.
Not quite, yeah. Like just the one action scene where he uses a dead body as a shield while he's running down the escalator, like.
Well, he doesn't just use it as a shield, he then throws it at the people that are shooting him.
And it's so bloody too. Like there is, again, like RoboCop,
There's
just
so much blood.
it's very over the top of the violence. Not to the same level as a RoboCop, because that movie has like that might be the most violent movie we've done on the podcast. One of them for sure.
Probably. Either that or like one of the Evil Dead movies.
Evil Dead 2, maybe. That might be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Evil Dead remake did have like the scene where it's raining blood outside.
There's like rains of blood. Yeah, it might be one of those movies then. It's ridiculous. Yeah, I just love how nuts the action scenes are in this movie. Because it's not just like the context of them, like the setting that they take place in, like it's with all the weird Martian characters and stuff, but also just the way Arnold kills people in this movie.
Yeah, no, it's insane. We mentioned before, there's one guy that has just a drill shoved into him. Richter loses his arms in an elevator.
Ronnie Cox
fight.
Gets like thrown out into the Martian atmosphere and like suffocates, and you see his eyes like
depressurized.
That scene actually still makes me a bit uncomfortable, even though I've seen this movie.
Dude, it is hard to watch.
It really is, yeah, because he's like screaming and like, yeah. But at the same time, though, I mean, the dude kind of like.
He kind of deserves it, yeah.
That's what he was doing to, like, the poor Martian citizens, you know. They don't quite use them as much as in RoboCop, but there's, like, some fake commercials in this that kind of reminded me of that.
Yeah, there's a couple, yeah. They're not quite as insane as the RoboCop ones.
Not quite, but...
We don't get Thermonuclear Warfare, the board game.
Yes.
I forget what the board
game
is called.
Get them before they
Nuke
get
them,
you.
Yeah.
I still really want Butler Brothers.
If they ever make an actual Nukem board game, I would 100% buy that.
It'd basically just be like Risk or one of those kinds of games.
Yeah.
Battleship, you know.
Still.
Yeah, that'd be funny. Pakistan's threatening my border!
Pakistan's threatening my border!
Oh, I love that movie so much. I think, actually, of the movies we've done on the podcast, I think RoboCop's my favorite one. So
that's a strong choice. That is a strong choice.
Well, Total Recall would be up there, too, as well. Yeah. I love Total Recall. Oh, speaking of that, Michael Ironside does a title drop.
Oh, that's right. Because he basically, I forget the exact line, but it was something like, we need to catch him before he goes total recall, something like that.
Before he reaches Total Recall, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's now in an hour he could have Total Recall.
Yes. Yeah. There we go. He's also the one that says see you at the party, you know. Or, well, Cohagen, like,
Okay, I kind of love that scene.
Cohagen, like, tells Richter to remind Douglas Quaid about the party, and he says see you at the party. Yeah,
because they're about to revert Quaid back into Hauser. And Cohagen just drops like, oh yeah, I'm having a party tonight. Richter, remind him when he's back in his body.
Yeah, because he's not going to remember it, they assume.
Yeah.
Yeah, that just... Oh, I love how when he, like, wakes up, he, like, breaks off the, like, part of the machine and, like, stabs... He, like, stabs someone in the neck with it. Again, kind of like in RoboCop when... RoboCop stabs Clarence Boddicker in
Yeah.
the neck with his like transmitter. Anyway,
Come on, Cohagen, you got what you want. Give these people air.
just the worst. Cohagen might be like just one of the worst villains we've had.
Yeah.
Like on this part,
Yeah.
like he might be even more of an asshole than Dick Jones, because Dick Jones is pretty bad, but like this guy is like, wow.
But this guy's in charge of like an entire Mars
He
colony.
like tries to commit genocide in this, like, because
Yeah. He almost succeeds too.
when one guy mentions like the Martians are like dying from lack of air, he says, "Fuck them."
Yeah, yeah.
And as if that wasn't evil enough, he kills his own goldfish later. I mean, what an asshole.
Yeah.
Like, like the villains in this are just like, you're like really satisfied when they bite the bullet in this. Again, kind of like RoboCop, just like the villains in that were just just the scum of the earth, just absolutely horrible people. And Cohagen basically just is Dick Jones, except more cartoonish.
He's really the same character. It's just he's in a higher position.
He's just more evil and more over the top. Like, I just love Ronnie Cox. Like, there's one line he says towards the end that I always thought was really funny. When he's like, when Arnold confronts him like towards the end, he's like,
Who gives a shit what you believe? In 30 seconds, you'll be dead. Then I'll blow this place up and be home in time for cornflakes.
it's just, what? It's about as evil of a line as you can get.
You know what we haven't talked about yet? The aliens.
We talked about a few of them, because we talked about Quado.
And we've mentioned them, but because you don't actually see the actual aliens in the movie, but you kind of see like the inside of their pyramid that was left behind, and it's a power plant. I think that's a super cool set, and I do wish we would have gotten to see more of that.
Yeah, and I mean, you do see like the Martian citizens, although
Yeah,
you
all the
kind of
mutants.
they're like mutants, because they, due to all the radiation, their faces are all like,
Kind of melty,
like limbs, like, yeah, they're kind of messed up, Even Benny, who he has, I can't remember, was it 4 kids he has to feed or 5?
At first he says 5.
He's and then it turns out, I don't even have kids, because he's
I ain't even married.
I ain't even married, yeah. They raised the price of air on Mars. I mean, Jesus, how fucking evil can you get? And then I was also thinking about it, I'm like, wait a second, this is kind of like Spaceballs a bit.
I was just about to mention Spaceballs.
Because they, like, steal the air from, Plant Spaceball needs to steal air from Truidia. Except they don't have the, what the hell? What's that thing called? Like, Mega Maid? Is that what that
Mega
is?
Maid, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, with the vacuum that sucks the air. Such a ridiculous movie. I don't know which one's more ridiculous, this or Spaceballs.
I don't know. Because they're both pretty insane.
Spaceballs has the alien parody where the alien, like,
bursts out and then does like a tap dancing routine.
It's like, because it's a reference to, like, what was it, like an old Warner Brothers cartoon or something, like Chuck Jones, Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my ragtime girl. And it has Pizza the Hut in it. Just...
Yeah.
Oh, we got off track, didn't we? Yeah. It's fucking Spaceballs.
Costumes. Let's talk about costumes.
The main one, I mainly just remember what Quado looks like, and
Yeah, no, that honestly, the Quado, like, I think it was a puppet, like the whole thing, including the guy's body, but it looks pretty good.
Quado's just such an unusual character too. Yeah,
Yeah.
you kind of wish he was in the movie a little bit more. And the set design we mentioned, the set design's pretty good. A lot of it just looks like OCP buildings on Mars.
It really does. Whenever you're in any like corporate area,
Like
it really feels
Cohagen's
like
office. Cohagen's office is just Dick Jones' office from RoboCop.
Yeah,
It's great.
yeah.
And he apparently has goldfish on Mars. He just has a tank of goldfish up on Mars.
Yeah.
The mining drills are ridiculous. Like, oh my god. How the hell do you describe those things? It's kind of like that weird, like, jungle cutter from Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Yeah, it's just like it's like a massive underground excavator, pretty much.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. There's like a lot of mining operations on Mars. Again, it's just they're like, what can we do with the Mars setting? And then they did it. So, yeah.
Yeah, they even at the end of the movie they restore Mars to have a blue sky and an atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out terraforming Mars was a lot easier than people thought.
Yep. Are you trying to say that Elon Musk is Cohagen? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Oh, honestly, that'd be fitting. Oh yeah, he like has to when he goes to a hotel, he like left something in his safe deposit.
Yeah, like a safety deposit box.
Yeah. And it's like this paper for a strip club. It says, "For a good time, ask for Melina." And that's where he meets his girlfriend, who's also an agent.
Yeah. I will say, actually, backing up a little bit, I thought a really cool detail was when he opens that safety deposit box, sees the note that he left behind, and then writes on it also to see if it's his handwriting or not.
Oh, that was cool. Yeah, yeah. And it's the same handwriting, yeah.
Yeah.
And just the weird... Apparently, there's strip clubs on Mars. That's interesting.
I mean, what else are you gonna do on Mars except go to the three-breasted ladies strip club?
Yeah, I guess. Some of the lines during that part that were funny, like
relax, you'll live longer.
when he first sees Dean Norris' character, you know, he says, "You got a lot of nerve showing your face around your house," and then Arnold says,
"Look who's talking."
Yeah, because his face is like deformed. Yeah. When Melina sees her, she like grabs his dick and says, "What have you been feeding this thing?" He says, "Blondes." Yeah, she's basically pissed at Arnold because she thought he was dead. Thinks he's working for Cohagen, which turns out to be true. Kind of.
Halfway. He was, and then he erased his memory.
He decided to work with the Martian freedom fighters, you know.
Yeah.
And I feel like they could have done more with her character in this.
Yeah.
Because I was watching this again, I'm like, she's supposed to be, like, the love interest, and also, like...
It might have been more interesting if they would have introduced her earlier on. Like, before he gets his memories back. To sort of create a thing that could almost, like, jog his memory a little bit, or something.
She's in the dream scene at the beginning.
Yeah. But then, after the dream scene, she's just not there until... like, over halfway through the movie.
But, like, when they're, like, asking him, when they're, like, programming him into the recall system. Like, he's, like, basically describing what, she looks like, so... To be his wife in the simulation. Again, it's kind of confusing, because he's also has Sharon Stone, so I guess Arnold is a bigamist. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I didn't think that would come up.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yes, and it's big of me, too. It's big of all of us. Let's be big for a change.
Yeah, I felt like Melita just kind of felt sort of shoehorned into this.
Yeah, she wasn't... Like I mentioned, there's... I guess this is getting into the cons a little bit. Most of the characters feel pretty good. Hers felt just a little, like, cookie cutter. Kind of just slotted in as a love interest.
I feel like a lot of the characters, when you really look at it, a lot of the characters are kind of two-dimensional, Arnold gets, like, a lot of development, because he's Arnold.
Yeah.
And then, like, all the villains are kind of just, like, they're evil, There's not much to them.
Yeah.
But so, that's fine sometimes, it worked fine.
Are you trying to tell me the Predator is evil?
Hey, he just wanted to hunt. I mean, it's not his fault that he crash landed on
Earth.
Exactly.
I mean, you saw how they took out all those aliens.
What else are you supposed to do when you're one ugly motherfucker,
In this household, the Yahuya, or whatever they're called, are heroes. End of story.
I guess. Oh man, it's been a while since I've seen Predator. I kind of want to watch it again, though. I'm getting a lot of Arnold getting kicked in the balls. Michael Ironside kills the alien with 3 tits. I mean, man, what a dick.
Truly a tragic loss.
And then that, like, causes this, like, huge riot in the bar.
Yeah.
This was crazy. Basically caused a riot in the bar. And that's when the air shuts off. Yeah, we mentioned Hauser is working for Cohagen. I like the reveal of that, too.
It's pretty good.
He gets taken to Cohagen, like, he set it all up. He, like, shows a recording of Hauser saying he purposely led them to Quado, and then the camera pulls back in the recording, and you see Cohagen with his arm on Hauser's shoulder. I liked that reveal. The way they revealed that. That was cool. Remember that they try to, like, reprogram him as Hauser, You'll like being Hauser. He's a fucking asshole. We already talked about a lot of this stuff, but basically that's when, like, the movie just goes crazy and Arnold kills a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Because you got the part with the hologram, you think this is the real Quaid? It is. See you at the party, Richter, all that. And then eventually Arnold presses the button, the people of Druidia get their air back.
And everybody on Mars is happy.
They're getting all their air back! Do something! Do something! Do something!
They get sucked out into Mars, but the air comes back, so they're fine. But the movie still leaves you with the question, was it all just a simulation?
And so I guess, what do you think? Do you think it was all a dream and implanted memory, or do you think it all really happened?
I think that Arnold becomes the governor of Mars.
Ooh.
That's what I think.
That's impossible. Can you ever imagine someone like Arnold holding public office?
I don't know. You'll have to ask the governor of California. Was there anything else you wanted to add, or like? Because I'm kind of.
I think that's about it. I think we covered.
There was one scene I forgot to mention earlier. Wait. when he has to, like, when Hauser leaves him a briefcase.
Yeah, that one's pretty good.
This old lady tries to take it, and he's like, grabbing it from her. That part was funny. Like, why was she trying to grab the suitcase?
I don't know. Because she was like, I don't see your name on it. It was just trying to steal a random briefcase.
Someone left this for me. I thought that was so
Someone
funny.
left this for me.
Oh boy.
Get
ready for the big surprise. Just there a lot of memorable
one-liners.
I feel like I used to have this like Arnold soundboard. I feel like most of the lines on it were from Total Recall. Because I was like, whenever I heard a line from this, I'm like, oh, that was from that soundboard. Huh, interesting. Anyway, do you have anything else to add, or like?
No, I think that was it.
Anything else for like cons? Because
I think cons.
My only
the biggest thing is like
big con was like just felt like Molina. They could have done a little more with.
Yeah, that was kind of my big one too.
And I don't know, maybe some people were disappointed that there wasn't really a definitive answer on whether he was really on Mars or not, Because I do feel like in a more serious movie, they probably could have explored that concept to its full potential. So there's also that, I guess, but I don't know. I think for the most part, it's a really enjoyable movie, and you don't really care too much about, some of those things. Did you? I mean, call stat. Sorry.
No. I think that was it. Yeah.
So are we getting to overall thoughts, or just?
Yeah. I think we're ready for overall thoughts.
Again, this is one of my favorites. Favorite Arnold movie. It's got a lot of good action scenes, a lot of cool sci-fi ideas, a very, very weird, goofy sense of humor. So it has a lot of elements that I really like in movies like this. And it's a very unique concept, too. He's a secret agent on Mars, or he isn't, ... And after thinking, I think this would be in the top 10 movies we've done for the podcast.
Yeah. I think so. It's really strong.
It's a very, very fun movie to watch, for sure.
Yeah.
I think it'd be like probably number 8 for me. Definitely somewhere in the top 10. It's a fun movie to watch, for sure. Every time I watch this movie, I never regret watching it. It's a hell of a good time,
Yeah.
And also, every time I watch it, I get this urge to get my ass to Mars. Okay, you can go.
Yeah, so like we kind of talked about, Total Recall, it's a really strong sci-fi movie. It's got a lot of intrigue. It's conspiracy wrapped up on Mars, a corporation versus a rebel sect amidst the ruins of an alien civilization. It's this really strong sci-fi movie that also happens to be one of the most insane and one of the greatest Arnold Schwarzenegger movies of all time. It has so many great ideas, a very unique concept, and a very unique energy, which is borderline psychotic. It is so much fun to watch. The action scenes are great. The sets are great.
It's what you get if Paul Verhoeven makes an Arnold movie.
Exactly.
And it really makes me wonder, because they were going to do another movie together about like the Crusades, but it never got made. Watching this again, I'm kind of like, I really wish they'd made that now. That would have been...
Yeah.
That would have been wonderful to watch. And, like, there obviously are, like... Obviously, there probably are Arnold movies that are, like, technically, like, better than this. Because, you know, a lot of the Terminator movies, people love the first two, at least. People love the first two Terminator. I like this more, though, just because I find it more fun to watch.
It's more fun and it feels a lot more unique.
It's also just weird. I just like how weird this movie is. There's just not... Again, like you said, it's very unique. You don't get many movies like this anymore. So.
Again, the only other movie that I can really think of that has like even a remotely similar energy would be something like The Fifth Element.
Or RoboCop, obviously.
Yeah, RoboCop and The Fifth Element.
It feels... I should watch The Fifth Element again. I haven't seen that in a while. That's another just strange movie. I think this is more successful at it, though, than The Fifth Element.
Yeah, I feel like definitely. I feel like Fifth Element's too long.
Fifth Element, it's too long, and also some of the quirkiness is a bit grating. Like, I can't stand Chris Tucker's performance in that movie. It's the most annoying thing I think I've ever seen. But, like, it does have some of those similar qualities. So, like, you can tell with The Fifth Element there was a lot of creativity put into it, just because of how weird it is, you know? Like, Fifth Element could have ended up worse. It could have turned into the Valerian movie. That was...
No. Don't make me think of Valerian, please.
Anything else to say about Total Recall?
Good movie. Go watch it.
Yeah. Get your ass to Mars.
Get your ass to Mars.
And our next podcast is, would you believe it, another movie starring future governor of California, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Whoa, really?
How many times have we had him on those podcasts? Wait, is this like...
So
this will be the 6th time once we do this next one, right?
So we had the 2 Conan movies, we had True Lies,
Total Recall. That's 5. So if we do, after we do the next one, 6. That'll be 6 Arnold movies.
That's pretty good.
Our next movie is The Running Man. And this is one you wanted to do. I wanted to do Total Recall. Yes. You wanted to do The Running Man. Because apparently you're a huge fan of The Running Man.
There's so much I love about that movie, but we will get into that next time. And until then...
Yeah.
Andy Griffith.
I feel like Andy Griffith would actually fit into The Running Man.
He really would.
Because he kind of, yeah.
Good night, you stupid idiot. Good night, you miserable slob.